Hi everyone. In a previous video, I touched on the concept of being anemic as a PKU person. And something that goes along with that, at least for myself, is just being tired and not being very motivated. And I mean, that's one of the things I struggle with probably the most with PKU is that some days I just don't have the energy to do a thing. I don't feel motivated. I don't have that little spark of like, let's get stuff done today. Like, that's hard. That takes effort. Um, but I wanted to touch on that because I know when I feel that way, I can feel pretty down on myself for not getting things done and feeling, well, a lot of times when I feel that way, I also feel a little disorganized and sometimes a bit overwhelmed by all the things I want to do that I'm just not getting done. And I think the reason I want to talk about this is just to say that, like with everything, that's normal. And what I've learned is that I just need to take those days in stride and remember that, we're not perfect and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You should address all of your nutritional needs, make sure you're getting proper amounts of formula. I know that helps a lot. Certain vitamins that you should be taking. Always talk to a dietitian about your vitamin regimen, just to make sure you're not overdoing anything or underdoing anything. Certain vitamins taken at the same time can cancel each other out, so that's important to talk to someone about. Just see what you're doing, see what maybe you could add or take away. But anyway, with that, that's something that I just struggle with so much, is just not wanting to do a darn thing. And just being, I don't know, I'm on diet. I've been on diet now for 3 years, and I know I used to be worse than I am now, and I know I used to struggle a lot more with getting things done and staying on task. And some days it's great. Some days I am just cracking things out one after another, clean the whole house, get groceries done, and it's not like a manic thing. It's just some days I have more energy than others. Maybe I got the right amount of sleep, the right amount of food, the right amount of formula, and the stars align and I have the energy to get things done. But today, for example, is not one of those days. I didn't sleep very well last night. So I'm just trying to get through today. I've only got a few things to do, just cleaning up around the house, and I have a client later today that I'm meeting with. I'm a hairstylist, so nothing too exciting. I'm not an attorney or anything. But yeah, just gotta, stay motivated. And so I think something that we need to remind ourselves on those days is that that doesn't mean that you just failed, because that's how I feel on days when I don't get things done that I want to get done. I feel like I've failed myself, or maybe people around me, of things that I wanted to get done that maybe affected other people. And it's important to remember that that's okay, that, life goes on. Every day is a new chance. Every day is a new beginning. And that's how I like to look at things, because that really helps me stay motivated. In the past, I've had a strong tendency to just dwell on things a lot and think, man, I wish I had done this, and I can't believe I wasted all this time, and I can't believe I did this. And as almost a defense mechanism, as something that's made me stronger, I've learned to not do that anymore, to not dwell so hard on failures. Because, we're all human and we're all gonna mess up. We're all gonna have days where we just feel like a total couch potato. And I think I talked to some people about this on one of the support groups, being an overthinker. I don't know about you, but my mind is always moving about 1,000 miles an hour. And I know that's not exclusive to PKU, but it does seem to be a common trend among PKUers, is just overthinking. And we're trained to do that because we have to think so hard about our food. So it only makes sense that it would translate to other parts of our lives. So when I'm sitting there not getting things done, just this, it's just like there's a cloud in my head and I just feel this extra weight. And it's not like I'm sad or my body is tired. I just can't get things done. I don't know how else to explain it. I just feel weighted. But like I said before, you need to focus on tomorrow and focus on new beginnings, because that's what's going to eventually help you to accomplish those things, is taking things one step at a time. You know, if you're trying to get back on diet, actually, I'm going to touch on this now because it's in my mind. A lot of people reach out to me and ask, because I was off diet for several years, how did I get back on? And it took time and it took steps. It wasn't something that I did overnight. In fact, it took many months of pondering even before I could even really start. So it was back in 2016. I touched on this in a previous video about how I just had all these mental symptoms, and how I was just tired and confused and depressed and anxious all the time. So there were mental symptoms, and there were also physical symptoms. I mean, like being exhausted, I guess, is kind of mental and physical. But I had insomnia, I was depressed, I had anxiety, like panic attacks, that kind of thing. So how I started to get back on diet was the first thing I did was cut out meat. So just that particular thing. I just took it one step at a time. And it wasn't like one day I cut out meat, the next day I cut out something else. It was like I cut out meat for a few weeks, maybe even a couple months, and then I cut out cheese. And after I cut out cheese, I cut out all dairy. And then after I cut out all dairy, I started cutting out plant proteins like nuts and bread and things, because I was totally off diet. I mean, I didn't eat meat and cheese to the extent that a normal person does, but I ate a lot of it, a lot of protein at least. I really don't know the numbers. I guess I'd have to assume it was like 50 to 60 grams a day. I really don't know. I wasn't counting at the time, but it was transitional, and it didn't really start to get easy, at least until my levels started to go down drastically, because they didn't really start to go down until I got to that final stage where I was cutting out plant proteins and really getting down low. Luckily, I do respond to Kuvan, so I started taking Kuvan and my levels dropped significantly. But if that wasn't the case and I didn't respond to Kuvan, I think that I would have then had to add more formula and reduce my protein intake even more. When I first went back on diet before Kuvan, I was having about 15 grams a day, which was what my dietitian recommended. She recommended 15 to 20, and that was just too high. My levels were like 16. After a week of Kuvan, they were a 4, and that was really fortunate. But my whole point of this is, you know, it's hard. Even when you're on diet, like I have healthy levels, but I am a tired person. And like I've touched on in a previous video, whether you're on diet, you're off diet, you feel the effects of PKU every day, whether you've got healthy levels, unhealthy. It does affect you every single day. And that's something that I think that not only do people with PKU not understand, but people without PKU really can't understand, because they don't understand what it's like to have high levels and have those feelings at all. So I'm sure many people, I've talked to people about this also, you can't explain the way you feel to other people because they've never really felt anything similar. Just foggy. So when you're off diet especially, you're going to feel more of those fatigue days. At least in my case, I definitely did. More of those days where you just can't get it together and get things done and work on it. So I strongly urge people to just take it one step at a time and not to beat yourself up over failures or what you might consider failures. Just missteps or days where you just can't get it done. Because that's definitely something I go through a lot. And take it one step at a time and don't be so hard on yourself. Remind yourself that every day is a fresh start. And I know I'm very repetitive in these videos, but that's just because that's kind of how I talk and how I think. I think in circles, and it helps me to kind of elaborate things a little better. So I hope that these videos are clear and concise enough for people. I know I can ramble. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because it was fresh in my mind. be easy on yourself. And if you're only having those days where you're exhausted, do address your formula, your diet, your vitamin regimen. And just, I know that even the smallest changes can help. But if you have those days every once in a while, or you're like me and you have them a little too often, just be easy on yourself and work in small steps towards whatever goals you have, whether it be getting schoolwork done, building a business, or just trying to get your diet on track. Take it one step at a time, because that's how great progress is made. You don't make amazing, huge strides in a single day. It takes time. It might take months. It might take years. It might only take a few days. I don't know, whatever your goal is. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you have these experiences, I'd love to hear about them. It's like I've said before, it helps a lot for us to share our experiences with each other, because it helps us understand things better. You can learn things, and maybe it just makes you feel comforted to know that someone else is going through the same thing. So